Well, just real quick, thanks, Keith. I mean, that was pretty entertaining. It really was. And, you know, I'm going to ask you to put up certain slides as I go. So,
yes, sir.
Okay, I don't have a really sophisticated slideshow to give you today. There's a reason for that, and the reason being is that everybody introduced themselves. We have very different levels of play going on and frequency of play. You know, some people play more often. Some don't have the ability to play more often. Some play stadiums. Some don't like stadiums. Some don't have the accessibility to play in stadium. Some people play online. We're going to talk about that later. So, you know, my background is basically I was a CPA, and after that got into sales and marketing and operations and a bunch of other things. But my approach is going to be one that I hope is going to give you I think you know who I am, is going to give you the confidence, okay, to be able to, you know, go out and win playing Baccarat. So, without further ado, keep the Baccarat Confidential.
Okay. Let's see. Which one do you want coming up?
Yeah, it just says Baccarat Confidential on it. One with the Webster.
Which one?
Webster.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about that.
Well, why he's doing that, sometimes it's not. The reason that we are calling this Baccarat Confidential, okay, is not because we think everybody's going to, you know, take these quote-unquote secrets and go out and exploit them and tell all their friends about it. And we already know you're going to do that, okay? But seriously, if you just, I don't know if everybody can read this or not. Is this big enough type for everybody to read or not? Okay, good. So basically...
I was trying to make it bigger, I'm sorry.
Yep, okay. We rehearsed this for hours yesterday. No. The definition of confidential, marked by intimacy or willingness to confide. Private secret, confidential information. I think what Keith just gave you is something that nobody would ever have dreamed of. You know, that there are potentially ways to predict what's going to happen next. Excuse me. Containing information whose unauthorized disclosure could be prejudicial to the national interest. Well, that pretty much describes BTC. Okay? So, again, I'm going to take a real pragmatic and simple approach to things. So I brought these note cards. Okay? And Keith, what's the slide with the people, the little people that you don't understand?
I got it.
You got it. I know you do.
You're going to help them out.
Yeah, this is how we're seated, by the way, for the most part.
Well, I got it here.
Okay, it's right there.
This one.
Yes, yeah.
If I can open it.
Yes. Okay. Can everybody see that or read that? Basically, it says, you know, the most important thing starting out today is what kind of player are you now, or what do you want to, or, you know, the kind of player do you aspire to become? So I can tell just from the comments and some of the questions we've had so far that a lot of people are starting down here, right? Do you feel that this is kind of this is the base level? The vast majority of Baccarat players really are in this level right here, which is kind of a base level, okay? So we're going to talk about some base information. You know, this is as you gain more information. This is, you know, it could take a couple of years really to get to this level, by the way. It could take a couple of years, okay? And you may never get here. You may never get to what you believe should be the top level. I would hope, though, that for the most part, that would be your goal, okay? So again, we're going to talk about some of the ways to do that. Keith talked about BTC a little bit, and I just want to say that you guys and gals, by the way, Janice, I'm not picking on you. There are so many things in the forum that the reason he worked on developing the how do you find them, you know, tools, is because the value that is in these 15 years or whatever since the Baccarat has been being played, the value that's there is so incredible that it's kind of hard not to go back to it periodically, or to find things that, will help you make your own way to play, okay? What he was, I hope, Keith, the stuff you were talking about with the, showing people how to find things,
Yeah.
okay? Is that going to be something?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, you're going to do it. You said you were going to send it to everybody else,
Yeah,
right?
it'll be on the forum. Absolutely.
Okay, it'll be on the forum. Good. Okay. It's really valuable. Okay. Okay. So, a couple years ago, I found these what are called win cards. Okay, and you've probably seen this one. You can buy it in most hotel gift shops. Used to be $1.99. It's now like $3.99 or $5.99. Inflation. And this is basically a basic strategy for blackjack. Has everybody seen this for blackjack before?
Yeah.
Basic strategy. And you can take it to the table with you also if you want. Okay? And here's one for roulette. It's got a little wheel on it. Okay? So it's kind of cool. Excuse me. Here's one for craps. Again, it's got a wheel on it. It tells you, what should be, what you should be doing and how to play. Here's one for Texas Hold'em. Okay. Here's one, a different one for blackjack with a wheel on it. I got it upside down. Sorry about that. Okay. Anyways, the bottom line is that there is not one for Baccarat. Okay. Has anybody ever seen a cheat sheet, a little, something you can take, to the table? But what's that?
I have.
Okay, so you have.
Yours.
Well,
I was going to say that.
okay. So the message of this is that we each, as players, need to create our own playbook, okay? Because if you don't have a playbook of the way that you believe you can win, okay? Like Tom was saying, he's been on and off, hasn't really played that much, and he's kind of fascinated by the way we go about things. If you can create your own playbook, it doesn't have to be complicated. We'll talk about that later. You will be far more successful than if you read stuff on the forum and try to read everything, and then you go to the casino and you're just going to be confused. Okay? So what I did a couple years ago is I went to my local Office Depot, and I actually took the scorecard from the Red Rock. Not that this is important. Has everybody seen what a scorecard looks like? Okay, well, I hope we're above that level. Anyways, I created these books of 20 scorecards. And then I'll take them, and I'll play, part of a shoe or whatever. And in the back, there's information. Now, it's not in this book because I don't really, post it in here anymore. But you can take notes. There's 5 pages at the back that I left. So that when you go to the casino, you can take your playbook, your methodologies that you want to employ with you. Now, people do it different ways. Okay, Mookie has his way that he takes, stuff to the casino. Jerry has his way. He has a little clipboard, right? You just hold up your clipboard and stuff. So his playbook is this stuff right here. Okay, so I would urge you to do what would really be beneficial to increasing your hit rate. Okay, that's really the objective of this. Everything I'm going to talk about is going to be about flat betting. If you can't win flat betting, you should not be doing progressions. That's just you're going to come to that realization someday when you just can't figure out why you can't win enough. And the reason that you usually can't win enough, okay, is you're not focusing on a very important statistic called the hit rate. In other words, Keith used 100 hands. Out of 100 hands, what percentage do you win versus what do you lose, okay? And you obviously want to get that above 50%, right? If you're flat betting. Say you want to play 100 hands consecutively. Just say you want to do that. So Jerry has taken the information from, has everybody seen Uncle Buck's Baccarat Bible? It's on the forum. Has everybody seen the 10 best bets? Okay, it's on the forum. Okay. And there's other things I'm going to tell you about that, thing that Keith talked about today, obviously is important, is that you need to do what, I always use Tom Brady, but who's your favorite quarterback?
I really don't have any.
Oh, jeez. Matt, how about you? Favorite quarterback?
Tom Brady.
What's that?
I like Tom Brady.
Okay, we'll use Tom Brady then. Thank you. When he goes, has anybody watched football games in here? Raise your hands. Okay, everybody. Janice, you watch any football? Okay. So when he runs out on the field for the offense, okay, and he's going to call the first play of the game, what's he generally going to do? He's got on his wrist the playbook. He's got the plays right on his wrist. It's in a little plastic, so if it rains or something. And he opens it up and he'll say, okay, right 42 button hook, on 2. And all the players go, they all know the playbook, right? Okay. When a business person, a businesswoman, goes and has to make a presentation to Walmart to get them to buy something from her, what does she take with her? What does she take? A presentation, okay? She takes the things that make her company better than Sally's or Susie's and make their product better. But again, she takes it with her to the meeting, and you are allowed to take your playbook, and you grab it there, take your playbook with you. You don't have to do it forever if you don't want to, but learn you're allowed to do this at the casino. And what that does is, let's say you get to, just put up a shoe, Keith. Just put up any shoe. Doesn't matter. Okay. Let's say you are sitting here and, well, this is not that difficult, but let's say you're sitting here and you're looking at this particular shoe, right? Everybody understand that? And let's say that, let's say Edwin's playing and he's, for whatever reason, he can't see the whole thing, obviously. You know what I mean? You're seeing it, the whole thing. This is from SBI, okay? And it's gone. But yeah, you start playing, and for whatever reason, you lose the first hand, you try another one, you lose that one, and you start thinking, oh, I think I know the next one's gonna be. You try that and it doesn't work, right? Okay. Well, first off, you're trying to force your bets. Secondly, and more importantly, is if you have your playbook with you, you can go and say, oh, you know what? This is a V87 would kill this shoe. Okay? But you're reminded of it. Because again, some of you are not, you're relatively newer or you haven't played as long as others. So if you take your playbook, I promise you, if you create your own, I promise you, you will win a higher percentage of your bets than if you don't. So that's the concept of the playbook. And how many people do you see writing stuff down on cards at the casino? Hardly any. You see some writing it down, but hardly any. They don't take, you know what I mean? If you don't take the time to write down on your scorecard what's going on, it doesn't have to be as complicated as 5D. I mean, there's a lot of ways to play, by the way, that are much simpler, okay? They may not be as all-encompassing. They may not have the statistical information that you need to make informed decisions. But if you don't take advantage of the fact that, again, you can use your playbook and write things down, you're really wasting your time there in some respects, and you're not going to understand why are you losing, okay, or why are you winning. You mentioned, Rick, you get confused, you're overbet, you do things like that. Again, I don't care what it looks like. It can look like, it can be a piece of graph paper if you want, or whatever. It can be on a little note cards. You know what I mean? Okay, so because I was in business, my entire working life, I had to do a lot of business plans. I had to create business plans for businesses. This one was for a vodka company. This one happened to be for the bag company that I own with a few partners. Okay, this was a real simple one. This is the first one of the first ones I did. This was 1994. This one was 2011. The vodka company. And in a business plan, you get things like okay, who's going to be the owner, or are you going to work with a partner, or are you just going to do it by yourself? Okay, you have to have some kind of goal. You have to come up with a list of objectives. What's your goal? Is your goal to win 5 units this year? Is your goal to win 30 units this month? Is your goal to be your hit rate be at 55% by the end of your first year? Okay. You have to, the business plan will talk about how you're going to measure. How are you going to measure that you're staying on track? Okay? And the way you do that is after each shoe or session, okay, now I should explain. A session can be one hand. One. You walk into the Gold Coast, they have 18 tables going, you walk around, you go, boom, that's 2s right there. I'm going to bet the next time it switches and goes to 1, I'm going to bet that 2. Okay? And I'm going to walk out whether I win or lose. That's a session. Okay? Session could be you decide to go to the Red Rock. David we went to the Red Rock the other day. We go to the Red Rock and you say, you know what? I really don't have a lot of time. I can play 30 minutes and then I gotta run and take care of the security system on my house or whatever. So you have 15. So let's say you had a 15 bet. You made 15 bets. Okay, if you just make some simple notes. Okay, after it's fresh in your mind. You make them on your card as you go. And then you go home and you just say, okay, I was at this casino for this many minutes. I played 15 bets out of the 30 minutes that we could play. I won 9 and I lost 6. Does anybody know how to calculate what the hit rate on that would be? Jerry?
9 divided by 15.
Right, which would be 60%. Okay? So you keep this and you do this in consecutive, day by day after every time you play. And again, I don't care how long a session is. If you want a session to be a whole shoe, good, do it. If you do this and you get in the practice of, looking at this over a period of time, you're going to start seeing that you are either improving, getting worse, staying the same. You play better in the morning. You play better at certain casinos, okay? And you're going to start understanding what it is it's going to take to make you a better player. Increase your hit rate, increase your bankroll by increasing your hit rate, okay? And gradually, you're going to be betting bigger unit sizes than you may be doing presently. If you don't measure things, if you don't measure against your goals and objectives, okay, you've really kind of wasted your time in creating them in the first place. So each one of us really needs just a really small business. It could be one page. I'm in charge here. These are my goals. These are my objectives for the coming year. I'd like to have my bankroll, instead of being 1 unit, be 100 units by the end of October. Okay, that's the beginning of a business plan. The rest of what we're going to talk about now is how do you get there? How do you achieve what you're looking to do, right? Okay, so everybody needs a business plan. Simple, but you understand what I'm talking about, hopefully. Okay? When you go to the grocery store, okay, do you, Joey, take a list with you?
A lot of times, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, why do you do that?
So I don't forget what I need.
There you go. There you go. You don't want to forget what you need, right? Otherwise, you got to go up and down the aisles. And then pretty soon you walk out and you go to the cashier and she rings everything out. You go, $300? You impulse bought. Well, I would propose to tell you that most of our beginning gambling skills are impulse betting. Okay? So it's the same thing.
One thing I recommend,
Yep.
like on this little scorecard I made for myself here,
Yeah.
I put date, time, casino, shoe, unit size, win, a unit I won and lost, my starting bankroll, my ending bankroll, and then my win percentage, all on the top of my scorecard.
Yes.
So you can fill it out right when you're done.
Right.
And you don't procrastinate if you don't fill it out. So it's on the scorecard.
And some of you could take that and put it in an Excel spreadsheet or something. And then the next time, put the next one in. You don't have
I'll
to.
put it in the binder later.
Yeah. When I started, to your point, Matt.
You can actually do that with the cards that they give you at the casino themselves.
Yep.
I've got thousands of cards, and because I keep every card that I play, so I can go back and look at it and see what happened in this casino, what did I do, how did it play, and I always put, my wins, my losses, how much I won compared to how much I lost, the date, the time. So I put the time I start, the time I finish, so I know how much I'm making an hour.
Right.
Is this playing at this casino worth my time?
Right. I agree. And the thing is, if you don't do that, you don't have to do it for the rest of your life. If you don't do it, though, to where you start feeling comfortable about the way you should be playing and how to beat the casino, okay, you're shortchanging yourself. You really are. And trust me, when I started out, I did the same thing. I had it at the card. I'd go home. I'd write it down. I didn't put it on a spreadsheet. I just kept listing it out and recalculating my percentages and stuff. And I got better. By the way, I actually started playing Baccarat for the first time I played in Macau about 30 years ago. So, yeah, it was a long and winding road until I got into the BeatTheCasino forum. Cliff Notes. Does everybody know what Cliff Notes are? Anybody go to college here? You know what Cliff Notes are? Mookie?
Summary, synopsis
Yeah.
of the book. Or whatever.
Yeah. So put your summary of V87 in here, or whatever you like to play. You know what I mean? I don't care what it is. I'm not here to tell you should play any particular system. Because honestly, there's, what was that song, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover? Remember that? Well, there's 50 ways at least to come up with a strategy to approach Baccarat. Okay, I would recommend you don't have more than a couple that you stick to. Okay, I'm pretty much a person of my word, pretty much. But what have I been talking to you about? It's probably mentioned 40 times on the forum. Okay, does everybody know what this is? It's a toolbox. So now in this particular toolbox, this is a real one. I got needle nose pliers, I got a screwdriver, I got some scissors, I got another pliers, I got the proverbial hammer, okay? And what we're talking about today is the key. Who's got the key? Who knows how to unlock this stuff, right? So obviously I'm being, kind of figurative when I say I don't use this particular toolbox per se. But in my mind, I tell myself, and I think I've told pretty much everybody, at least on my posts on the forum, that if you don't have a toolbox, a Baccarat toolbox, right? Okay, you have inadvertently lowered your chances of winning. You have to look at this game as the hammer is, let's say the hammer is strong side, because you can win a lot of units. Let's say you need a measuring, there's one in there. You need a measuring stick, okay, to figure out what your hit rate is, right? You need a screwdriver to help take the screws out of the shoe so you can figure out what is going on in that shoe. Let me give you an analogy. I used to play shoes like at the Hard Rock in Biloxi, Mississippi. I'd play as many as 8 shoes consecutively, starting at about 4 a.m. Of course, I'd be the only one to get up that early, but you know. And I'd play the whole shoe. Well, over the years, I realized that, you know, by the time I got to the 6th, 7th, 8th shoe, I was wore out. I mean, it's hard work. I was playing every hand. I was playing every hand, okay? So what did I talk about earlier? Rick? He's going to help me here. What did I talk about earlier when I said session? Does everybody comfortably know what a session is now? Who has played with me? Whether it's in the Bahamas, whether it's in Macau, whether it's been at the Venetian, whether it's been at the Gold Coast, whether it's been at the Palace Station, who has not seen me spend 5, 10, 15 minutes and say, I can't win this shoe. I can't win this shoe. I'm going to go play something else. Or I'm going to move from stadium to table. Okay? And you'll have to develop the ability to create your own concept of what a session is. And again, it can be a whole shoe. It can be 10 shoes. You can add them all up. I don't care, you know. But if you don't have a concept of a session, you don't measure how you do or how you've performed, so to speak, okay? And you're not willing to get up and walk away from a situation that just is not working out. Okay. So, now, how do you just to summarize this, Jerry, can you put up Jerry's?
Which one?
Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah, put up the stuff he sent you. While he's doing that, no, I said while he's doing that, is this confidential information? No, not really. Not really. But have you watched any other videos that tell you how to do this, or why to do it, or that you should do it, or encourage you to do it? Very few. Maybe from Beat the Casino, but nowhere else. They just want to say, play this way and you'll win. Send me $500. You know.
Do you want the spreadsheet or the scorecard?
The spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet. Sorry.
Okay. So maybe you can explain, Jerry, just kind of how you use this information.
Basically, when I'm at home,
Microphone?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's see. It's turned on. There you go.
What I figured out basically before I started playing is if I don't know if I'm winning or losing, how does anyone know? I mean, you could go to the casino, you win, you lose, but over time, are you really making money or not making money? So I created it's not a big deal, it's a spreadsheet, month for month, and I put in from 1 to 31 days. So like today is May 22nd. Yeah. So if you go to the casino and you win $200, if you put $200, please, May 22nd, Keith, it's going to also, you can put it any month, it really doesn't matter. 200, hit enter, it's going to turn green. I formatted each cell, so if it's a positive, it's green. If it's a negative, it's red. And now if you go to the bottom of the column, it's going to total it up for the month. And now on the right, total winnings, that adds up month for month for month. So over the course of a year, if let's say you're into August, September, October, you should see hopefully all greens. That's what you want. But you're going to have some reds there, and you can visually see how much you're winning and losing. And now, what I have just added, I just started this a week or two ago. I'm actually keeping track of how many sessions that I win. I call it a shoe, but Kevin corrected me. I don't play the entire shoe. I could go and I've gone and played 7 hands, won 5 out of 7 and go home. And so as long as you're winning more than what you're losing, and you're keeping track of how am I doing. So if I'm constantly doing bad, well, either I got to improve. How do I improve? Or I stop playing. Now, I don't want to stop playing, But, so this is what I keep track of, and it's very, very simple. And, see, I even put 2021, there's tab, I look at the next one, tab 2022, and all I do is a copy and paste the entire amount, and you could just keep going for year after year after year. It's really very, very simple.
How about your toolbox?
My toolbox, I didn't send that to him, which is,
Oh, you didn't, okay, no problem.
but on my, if you could bring up my scorecard, I have everything on it that I forget your name. Everything that's on it, I put on my scorecard. If you could bring up my scorecard. This is very, very simple. You just, and this will be available to you, either Keith to give it to you, or you put it up on the,
No.
it's what? No. No, it's gonna look like this.
Okay, well, you know what, maybe you could,
I did send it to you,
either way.
either way.
Ju-
But I put on here also the date, the casino that I go to, the time I went in, my buy-in, my minimum bet that I started with. And I have the same thing, units won, units lost, my win rate. What I'll do is when I come home, I'll subtract out all my ties and all my free bets. And let's say I made a total of, play 20 hands. And I subtract out ties and free bets, and I might have bet only like 15. So let's say if I won 9 and lost 6, right over here, win and loss. So I put 9, 6, then I do the math, I get a calculator. 9 divided by 15 is 60%, and I add in 60%. I have since put this on my own personal spreadsheet to keep a running total, even for the year. I can tell you right now, my win rate's 50%. It was at 52, but I had a bad game Monday, whatever.
What do you take, what rules do you take with you to the casino? You showed me the other day.
Yeah, I take this. So, the Baccarat Bible, here's the 10 best bets. This is directly from Canada Bach, all about his naturals. I wrote down all the naturals, so I know how to play. And what else? Things, what to do, what not to do.
So you take
So
that.
I have my own Bible with me, and
Right.
usually before I even go to the casino, because I'm only 2 minutes away, I live right up the street, I'll review it. You know, this says, don't chase losses. Don't assume it has to be banker or player, because it doesn't. Don't bet what you haven't seen. I remember that one.
Yep.
So if you've never seen a 4 in a row, and you only see 3, well, you're not going to bet that it's going to go to 4 in a row. Don't bet what you haven't seen. And what you should do, have a stop win. Mine says +5 or +8.
Okay.
Have a, well, now what I asked on the forum, they just, I bet 5, I was at a stop win of 5 units when I was playing dimes. And I said to myself this one day, I said, why do I got to stop at 5? Why can't I stop at 7 or 8? I continued playing, and I went home losing 8 units. So instead of walking out the door with 50 bucks,
We're going to stop.
I lost 80.
I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about stop win and stop loss in a little bit. So that's good.
Yeah,
I
but
think
then
we get-
someone said on the forum to bet half units. Now, when I was betting dimes, I can't bet $5. But now I just moved up to quarters.
Right.
So if I do hit my stop win, I'll stop betting $10 units. You lose 2, go home.
Okay. Well, again, that's, so you take that with the, either review it right before you go to the casino or you take it with you.
Yeah, take it with me.
Okay. I rest my case. And there is no cross-examination. Okay. Keith, put up the 30 best Baccarat, or 30 truths about Baccarat. There's certain things that are, again, they're on the forum, but there's certain ones you need to look at, okay? So, and some of you have looked at these and maybe you haven't, okay? And I have no way of knowing that. Okay. You might just make the first part of it big.
Up a little bit?
Yeah. And I don't know if you can read from this distance or not.
Oh, let me make it.
Okay, there, number 8, you shouldn't bet every hand. Okay. I mean, this is Kevin talking, but I've brought myself to the point where I only play in a session or a shoe, whatever I'm doing, okay? I only make about 60% of the bets. Say there's 72 hands in the ties, so let's say there's 80 hands. So 60% would be 48. That's the most I would make, okay? Now, if I made 48 bets and lost all, well, of course I would have gone home a lot earlier, okay? The big thing is I don't, the thing that I learned is you cannot sit at a, say from the start of a shoe and bet every single hand. You will pretty much guaranteed lose way more than you win, okay? So it's just, you know, it's just a joke, but what do I do? So I can't bet. What do? I sit on my hands. Now, right now, I am sitting on my hands, literally. You can see I'm sitting on my hands. So no matter how much I want to bet, I'm not going to bet. Anybody, this is what was called the 30 Truths About Winning the Baccarat. Take a look at that list, okay? And I think you're going to find some nuggets in there. Okay. I think we've already talked. Keith already talked about some of the myths about Baccarat, so we won't do that. Okay. Okay. Here's another thing that will really help you out if you will take the time to do it. Okay. You've got SBI, which has what, Keith? 8,000 some shoes in it, or sessions, or parts of shoes, roughly. SBI. You don't have to put it up. About 8,000. It doesn't matter. Okay. So obviously that's a good practice tool. But you know, Keith was talking a little bit ago about how you get a feeling for a shoe, okay? And he talked about statistics and, you know, the average card value and some other things, okay? Or the average result value. Well, something that has helped many people that I've discussed this with is get yourself 8 decks of cards, okay, and learn to deal to yourself. It's not hard. On the back of most Baccarat cards are the drawing rules, okay? The more if you just would do that a little, you know, for a couple of weeks or something, you know, maybe you do it once, twice, 3 times, or what, you will get a feeling. You will begin to understand how the cards come out of a shuffler or a shoe. And it'll give you a heads up way to make better educated guesses, because that's all this is. There's no absolute science that you can play at, you know, a hand every 30 seconds or whatever. You know, this is not rocket science either. It's simply observational. It's simply keeping track. We talked about measurement. Okay, but if you would, I would challenge you to those, especially those of you who are newer. Okay, you get 8 decks, you mix them up real good, just like the casino does, and you literally, okay, there's the dealer card. You know, you pick what are you going to bet on, banker or player? You know, and I don't care if you use nickels, dimes, quarter. I'm talking about real nickels. You know, and you literally put your money out there, and if you lose, push it over to that side. If you win, get paid by the other side, so now you have double your money. Okay? I guarantee you, as a teaching tool, that will make you a better player. Okay. I hope by now everybody knows the answer to this one. If I flip a coin, I don't have one in my pocket or I do it. If I flip a coin 10 times, okay, so I decide I'm going to use a quarter. If I flip a coin 10 times, how many heads and how many tails?
Fair coin?
What's that?
Is it fair coin or
I don't understand your question, is it?
is coin is a fair?
Oh, it's a fair, yeah. It sometimes falls right on its edge, but it's fair. Now, how many heads and how many tails?
Statistics say 50-50.
Okay, well, I'm getting the wrong answer from everybody. That's good. So 5 heads and 5 tails is 50-50, right? I'm doing 10 times. Well, you got a far better chance. You got a far better chance of getting either 6 heads and 4 tails, or 6 tails and 4 heads, or 7 heads and 3 tails, or 7 tails and 3 heads, or 8 and 2, 2 and 8, 9 and 1, 1 and 9, 0, 10. Right? You had a far better chance of that being the result. So if you played, just like he said, we're not playing the long run, we're playing the short term. If you flipped another 10, what do you think the result would be? It could be different, you know, it could be 2 and 8, it could be 5 and 5, but there's only 5 and 5 is only one possibility, 5 heads and 5 tails. All those other things add up to a lot more possibilities. Okay? When you think of Baccarat, you have to think in terms of it's not a 50-50 game. Okay, now I know it's 50-50 over a million shoes, or as it approaches, you know, a million shoes or whatever, it comes closer and closer to 50-50, right? But we're not playing a million shoes or a million hands. Greg might, but I'm not going to. What we're going to do is look at each session, each shoe, each whatever component you want to look at, and we're going to decide, or we're going to monitor what's really happening. You know, they do it with player and banker. That's one easy way to do it, right? Okay. So, if you want to get that even better, where's that marker? Okay. Instead of, this will be a shoe, just heads and tail, opposites, repeats, you know, player, banker. Okay. What do you do? How do you do it? How do you get even more precise? How do you even get better at predicting what's going to happen? Okay? Well, one of the ways you do it is you don't look at it. The longer it gets, the harder it becomes. Okay? What you want to do is you want to look at subsections of it. Okay? Which is really what Keith did. Part of what he was talking about was looking at the sections of it. Well, that's even a good one right there. You can see in this shoe, you had repeats. Then it went, I'm trying if I'm in your way. Then it went to opposites. Okay? Then we had this section right here where you're getting the strong side because you're having the one bank, one bank, one bank, one bank. Well, you had a long one there. One bank, you know, 2, and then it's changed again. Then you get a long run. Then you get into this right out here. What does anybody see in this section? Second liners. Second liners. Okay, and then you get back to the end here, and you know, harder to predict. I don't know what the bank player statistic was on this, but again, you can't presume you're going to get 5 heads and 5 tails. You might. Don't make any assumptions. Okay, if I say these numbers, do you know exactly what I'm talking about? 50%, 25%, 12.5%, 6.25%. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Frequency of events.
Right. What's an event, Rick?
1 in a row, 2 in a row, 3 in a row. What's the way to say that?
It could be, say, it could go to 50 in a row.
Yes, right.
That's an event. It's when it switches to the next side,
Yes.
That's the completion of the event. Okay? When I started playing Baccarat, remember, this is back in the 80s. That's how old I am. When I started playing, and I started in China because I had Chinese business partners. And then at the time, other than Atlantic City, a little bit outside of Detroit, Las Vegas, of course. Well, I lived in Chicago. There was not that much available close by to Chicago to go play. So when I would fly places, I would go to the cities, like when I flew to Costco to sell Costco stuff. I would stop in Reno on purpose so I could stay overnight and play. And that's how I would get better. Okay? But the way I played was regression to the mean. And what's regression to the mean? You're nodding your head, Uday.
Yeah, the variance has to come down to the 0 level.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes below that, it goes back to the 0 level. That's regression to the mean.
Okay. Yeah, basically, again, it's stated in a way, a Baccarat context. If there's 3 bankers in a row, well, it has to go back to player, right? The next one has to be player. Oh, yes, it does. No, it does. Yes, it does, right? I'm right. So I was playing backwards. So some of my first posts on the forum, after I realized, I got on the forum in 2010, okay, is I quickly realized that you had to be looking for what was the weirdest thing from 50-50. You talked about this earlier. You had to look for the bias. You had to, for whatever reason, you're going to become the best Baccarat player you can be is if you focus on the bias. Whatever's happening that's not 50-50. Now, there's ways to do that. Okay, we have tools in the toolbox, so to speak. Okay, one way is a real simple one. It's called 4DS, 4D on steroids. Do you have that slide, Keith?
Yeah.
By the way, these names are just made up. I mean, they don't really mean anything. Okay, I'm gonna stand over here for this one. Okay, what's the biggest bias or weirdness you see right here? Anybody?
O3s.
Okay, O3 versus T3, right? So if you were going to make the next bet in this sequence, what would an O3, you would bet O3, right? What would an O3 bring you to decide? Be player. Opposite 3 back. Okay? Now, I don't know what it turned out to be, but you're looking for, here's another one. Opposite, and this is opposite 1 back. So opposite 1 back would also be a player, right? So that's giving you some information that will help you make the, correct decision. Okay. The O2 and T2. It's the same as, okay, 2 back. So that would be a banker, and this would certainly be a banker, right? So really, you kind of have a tie. So this is what 4D is. It's just a simple way of finding, watching what is the biggest bias. Okay? So would you be, Janet, do you think it would make sense if we had 2, this says bank, this says player, this says bank, this says player? What would you do? Okay, you could wait, absolutely. Right. Okay, what else anybody else? Any other ideas?
Use a tiebreaker.
Use a tiebreaker. Well, what do you think 5D is? 5D is all the tiebreakers. Okay? All 5D is an extension. It's this expressed it's expressed more like this, okay? But all 5D is, can you show me the 5D slides, Keith?
Any page of the 5D?
Yeah, just one that's got the completed shoe. It has all the, but yeah, right there. Yeah, just make that bigger if you can. Okay, can everybody see that? Can you guys see that? Okay. You start right there. Good, Keith. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Okay.
There you go. Banker player is just like on the other sheet. I just marked it differently. I used little tick marks, okay, rather than X's. Opposite 1, the same. Opposite and repeat. Okay, this isn't the same shoe, by the way. This is not the same shoe. This is a different shoe. I'm explaining in very simple terminology what 5D is. What is 5D? It is 4D. These are numerical values. You can tell 18 to 18, this one's 15 to 18. You can see what's winning on the bias side. All that 5D is is, in essence, it's 4D, however you want to mark it, 4D, plus the 10 best bets. That's all 5D is. I mean, I know it looks confusing. This kind of looks confusing, okay? This is the tote board. This is 4D. Doesn't say 4D. You know, this is in the 5D manual. This is an actual shoe that was played. It's either the Red Rock shoe or the MGM shoe. I forget which one.
MGM.
MGM, okay. 4D, one more. This is the tote board, okay. Give me the 10 best bets, King, please.
The thread?
Yeah, the 10 best, yeah, where it has the list.
Best.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, where you're going, does everybody know what the 10 best bets, not memorize them, but do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, what am I talking about? Leonard, tell me what.
You basically you try to create your highest percentage bets and everything. Your 10 bets.
Right. Okay. Does everybody understand what he's talking about? Okay. The way that you identify the fifth of the tiebreaker, so to speak, or whatever, is you consider the 10 best bets. It could be 12. You might have a list of 12. I don't know. Create your own list. Okay? But when you do that, if you can't find it, Keith, don't worry about it. Okay. When you do that, you are going to visually see. Do you remember? Okay, the other day, I'll tell you a little story here. About 2 weeks ago, Keith talked about that you have to wait for the shoe that you want to play. Okay? I was in the Red Rock, and I decided I had been playing at the tables outside. I decided I'd go see what was going on the stadium. And I walked into a shoe. It's not here. I walked into a shoe, and I saw, I think it was 4 banks, 2 players, 2 banks, 1 player, 3 banks. So that's where I walked into the shoe. That shoe ended up, so I made a decision, okay? Because I had, I had a strong side on bank. I think it was like 7 or 8, and on player I only had 3. So I said, Keith's point, he talked about this earlier. I'm going to take a chance. Janice, I'm going to take a chance that this is going to be strong side. So I did. I bet on bank. Oh, another bank. Went to player. Okay, so I lost that one. What was I going to do over here after the, bank, 2 players, 1 player, but the bank's got these runs going. Well, I'm going to bet on bank. And you bet on bank until you lose. That shoe turned out to be is either 42 or 45 bankers and 13 players. It's honest.
You called you topically called it something else. It wasn't.
Okay, it doesn't matter. They know what it is.
Okay.
They know what it is. But again, I walked into that shoe. I mean, I walked up and I go, oh my gosh. That's, the boards are up there. Oh my gosh, this thing is, I got to do this. I sat down, pumped my money into the, stadium real quick, and started just playing. Every time it went to the player, boom, stopped at 1 again. I didn't know it was going to stop at 1, but I had history now as this built. And I had one run of 11 banks. There was a run of 6. There was a run of 5. Okay, and every time, so 2 players, then 1 player, 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 till it got to a point where, almost at the end of the shoe, 3 players, player. What did I do when I saw that? Stop. I killed it. I mean, I didn't do anything. I didn't walk into the casino predicting that a strong side was going to be there. You know what I mean? But you have to take a little bit of a leap of faith. That's where knowing these things having your, what's this called? Playbook. You are going to, not rapidly, but over a period of time, you're going to establish your own list of the 10 best bets, okay? And they can be things like, does everybody know what a butterfly is? It's on, okay, you do. Okay, it's in Uncle Buck's Baccarat Bible. Does anybody know what it is? Okay, yes or no, or, okay. What's that?
There was a no over here.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah,
I think people use different terminology.
yeah, well, you can call it whatever, yeah.
It's a pattern.
Yeah, it's a pattern, basically. It looks like this. This can be bank or player. I don't care what it is, okay? That, and then it goes here, it goes to another zero. This right here is a butterfly. Does it look like a butterfly? Kind of?
I've seen it be two.
Yeah, okay.
People identify two in front and two in back.
Fine. X, 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 X. 2, this is a butterfly. Okay, this is actually a dragonfly, but I'm sorry, but I wanted to give you your 2. Okay, that's a pattern, and there's lots of patterns. There's being able to recognize common patterns is a very powerful way. If the more you understand about the common patterns, and there's threads on the forum about pattern recognition, and it's in Uncle Buck's Baccarat Bible. Okay, what's this now? Oh yeah, okay. So 10 best bets that I had come up with: strong side, disparities, 4D, follow twos, read the twos, second liners, whatever you want to call them. I showed you on that one shoe where they just stood out. No bet. Okay, numerical value of the cards. Did anybody talk about that today? Oh, this right there. Okay. No bet. What's no bet? How could that be one of the best bets?
Saves you money.
Huh?
Saves you money.
And that's, not losing. Not losing is as important as winning a bet. It is, over time. Remember, I'm all about hit rate. All about hit rate. Okay, I'm gonna get a couple here. 2 for front. Oh, one more. This one more. Yeah, I had it. So I'm going to stop and interject again. You need to have this in your playbook. Okay? So what's a no bet? You look at it and you say, this shoe is confusing. I'm not going to make a bet right now. Or to Janet's point a minute ago, don't bet. Don't bet, okay? What's a bad bet? Anybody have any idea what a bad bet is or what a bad bet could be? I don't have a definition of it, by the way. Yeah, you're just guessing, and you're not feeling comfortable about it.
Or wishing.
Yeah, you're wishing, or you're saying, a good bad bet would be, here's a run of 4 banks, bet that it's going to be player. That's a bad bet.
Has to be player.
Yeah, it has to be player. We just did that a minute ago. Okay, what's an okay bet? What would you consider it's okay? It's kind of 50-50.
Well, just like you have the butterfly up there. So
Uh-huh.
you have the 2, you have the 4, you have the 1.
Yep.
And a good bet or okay bet would bet that it's going to do and finish that.
The way that it would, Janet, the way that it would say that is if we had a shoe up here, and it had, and you'll see this, by the way. Here, I'm going to illustrate something. You're going to see this, I guarantee it. You are going to see this in shoes. How many butterflies are there? Five.
Four confirmed.
There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. Okay? You've already got evidence that the butterflies are happening. They don't have to be this sequential. They could be, over the first 18 hands of the shoe. History. Okay. If you're going to make at least an okay bet, what should I mark up here? There you go. You're going to get another one. Don't pound it. I mean, don't. But again, this is what will make 4D turn into 5D or anything you're playing. If you can recognize as you're looking at a shoe, if you could recognize it, that this is just one of the patterns. There's other things they talked about on Uncle Buck's Baccarat Bible. Okay.
But that's also going to be confirmed with your disparities.
It will be. It will be. Yes, you're absolutely right, man.
So that'll be a good bet.
Yes, that would be. Yeah, it could be. It could be. You know what I mean? You have to look at the whole context of the shoe. I mean, we don't have the whole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's certainly. What else is this? Anybody?
Strong side.
It's strong side. I don't know what came before this, but let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4.
Weak side.
Yeah, that's the weak side. So let's pretend this is a player. Bang, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. What else could this be?
Multiple and single.
What's that?
Multiple and single. The new concept. Multiple and then single, multiple and single.
Oh yeah. Yes, yes, multiples. Yes, and that's one that I was going to talk about. That it's not on this list. Okay, what's a good bet? What's a good bet? Come on, somebody in here must know what a good bet would.
Confirmation, like multiple confirmation.
Well, we had the information from the 4D. What if we had V80? What if you knew how to play V87? Do you know how to play V87?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to show everybody right now. I'm going to give you a real quick V87. Okay, this is we had a question. We got a new person on the forum. I don't remember his name. It begins with an I think is his code name. He asked a lot of questions the other day, and he said, "Where do I start? There's so much on the forum. Where do I start?"
I love to play.
I loves to. Okay, that was it. I loves. Yeah. And somebody, I think it was GB09 down in Australia, or whatever. It said, you know what? One of the places to start is start with V87. You got V87, Keith?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, it's getting hard to come up. Okay, V87 is one of the simplest ways. It's one of the simplest things that I could tell you. But so few people. If you ask somebody, don't call it V87. If you ask people, how do you use the numeric? How do you use the how many? What the ones do, what the twos do, what the threes do? As a way to make decisions. Okay. Again, how do you decide what to do next? Right. Okay. This is V87. It's also called the 87% solution. Why is it called the 87% solution? Anybody?
Because 87% of the time, you won't go more than 3.
87% of all events are 1s, 2s, and 3s. It's that simple. Okay? I challenge you, everybody in this room, go ask a dealer. How often do 1s, 2s, and 3s occur? I don't think you'll find a dealer that understands that. Ask the person next to you. They don't know.
They're gonna look at you like.
They're going to be like, what are you writing down there? What are you doing? Okay, Visual 87. So you know what it's based on, right? To Keith's point, the last time we had this seminar was March 30th of 2019. There's the notes right there. Okay? Similar to what he handed out today. Okay. We went to my house, had probably 30 people there, but bring your wives, bring your girlfriends, bring your whatevers. Come on down, it's a lot of fun. And after everybody left, except you and I, we were sitting out on my patio. And you said, because that seminar had been heavily 5D. He asked me, he goes, you know, I just wish there was a way to make things a little bit simpler than 5D, because it's hard for people to understand. It's hard for them to comprehend. It's hard for them to learn how to play it, you know? Just like what Keith showed you this morning about the stadium stuff. Do you think you could go out and play that tonight? Anybody? I don't see any. I don't think. I know I couldn't. I could learn to do it.
With arrows.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That, you know, that's that. You know. Anyways, he said, couldn't we make things a little simpler? Could you come up with something a little simpler? And I said, well, after discussion, of course, we had already had a lot of libation. I said, Keith, I don't think I can do it, because I'd be cheating people to go from 5D down to, you know, a lesser value, you know, a statistic, so to speak. I'm cutting some of the good stuff off, right? Okay. So a couple months later, I don't know when it hit me, I probably was doing this thing right here, which I did with you, 50%, 25%, you know, 12.5%. And it hit me, I said, why do you have to play? I don't play every hand. What if I just played the ones, the twos, and the threes? What if that's all I did? So what about that 13%, you know, of the four or mores, right? Okay. There are. If it's you know, you're playing four or mores, you're probably just going to be either playing runs, you're going to be playing whatever the, you know, banker player, whichever one's winning the most, you know. But V87 is designed only to play the ones, the twos, and the threes. Okay. So we came up with this chart. I think Keith came up with it, and we numbered 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You know, do you understand what I mean? All the ones on the top line are assigned a 1. All the ones on the second line are assigned to 2. All the ones on the third line are assigned to 3. And we came up with a scorecard. Does anybody think they could do this at the casino? Sit there and make circles and put 1s, 2s, and 3s in them? Does anybody believe they could do that? Okay. I'm glad you do, because, you know, if not, I'll show you how. Okay, now, the next important thing is you got to break it down between banker and player. Okay? So you have to play them separately to be effective. Because you want to know not only what are the ones doing in total, this is just total, banker, player, total. You want to know not just what's happening in total, you want to know what's happening on the banker side and what's happening on the player side, right? Can you comprehend how that would be more, you know, more better? Okay, well, look what happened. I'm not going to go through all the hands or everything if everybody can see this, okay? Look what happened. 1 stays 1. 1 stays 1. That means an unconfirmed 1 becomes a confirmed 1, and it switches to the other side. That's now 1 stays 1. Okay? That happened, what, 13 times? 1 went to 2. 1 went to 2, 1 went to 2, 1 went to 2. That happened 7 times. Okay? So, just for the ones on the banker side, you think I could have picked up a few units? Sure, I would miss some of them. I would lose some bets there, but I would win more, because as the ones staying 1 became greater and greater, I'd easily pick up a few units as you play it. Okay, let's use another example. Let's look at the player side. This isn't hard to mark, by the way, on a scorecard at casino speed easily. We had 12 that stayed 1 on the player side, and we had 7, okay? So once again, 12 and 7, 13 and 7. What is that? That was 25 to, what, 13 or something? I can't really see. 14? I can't really see it from here, so. 25 to 14. Well, you don't think that I could help you make, okay, if you had this kind of a shoe, and by the way, that's a standard shoe. There's nothing weird about that shoe, right? You don't think you could win if you just played the fact that the disparities, okay, between the 1 stays 1 and 1 goes to 2? I just explained it to you, right? Now, let's look at the 2s. It gets better. Okay, yeah, I'll move over here trying to stay out of people's way. Look at the twos. 2 stays 2. So we had 1 stays 1, 1 goes to 2, 2 stays 2. We're on the banker side. How many banker 2s and then it stops, do you see? 0. Now what happened though? How many times did 2 go to 3?
7 times.
On the banker side, 7 times. You don't think that if you had a shoe like this, that you'd pick up this? Now you'd pick it up from other things also. Okay, the idea is you apply the methodology. I don't like to call them systems, by the way, because systems to me applies you just rotely just sit there and follow the system. But you don't think if that you played V87 on this shoe, 0, 7. You don't think you'd pick after it was 0 and 2. So far you haven't bet on that fact, but you decide, you know what? I'm going to start betting that. When I see a banker 2, I'm going to bet, okay, that it doesn't stay 2, right? I mean, yeah, banker 2, yeah, that it goes to 3. Simple. This is mathematical stuff, guys. This is not, voodoo. V doesn't stand for voodoo, by the way.
Well, this too, though, is where it comes in where you say you have to break it down in sections, because we're looking at hindsight right now.
Well, yeah, but
If you look at the beginning of that shoe, you have starting off where 1 turn to 2, 2 turn to 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when you have the 1 come up again,
I don't have anything else. Okay.
you have the 1 come up again on the banker side.
On the banker side, okay.
Okay. Now, this is where you got to come in and say, okay, is it going to go to 2?
No.
Or is it going
No.
to stay 1?
Yeah, you do have to ask yourself that question. So what you do is remember, you're really not betting, Joey, until you get out into you get some information. You know what I mean? I'm not suggesting you just start slamming a shoe from the very first indicator. You know what I mean? You're right. We have one indicator that 1, 2, 3. We have that. However, if we wait a few minutes, all of a sudden we got 1 to 2, 1 stayed 1, 1 stayed 1, 1 stayed 1. So after this became even 2, 1 stays 1, and 1 that 1 went to 2, okay, I would bet that it'll stay. It stayed. Okay, now the next one, you would, if you kept going, no, this one lost. I would have lost this if I was just playing them sequentially, okay? But the key is, again, you're not playing every hand. What am I doing? I'm sitting on my hands. I'm waiting till I feel like I'm ready to do something. You know what I mean? I'm mighty, But knowing the fact that these kind of shoes occur, has to give you what's called confidence, which is all about, at the end of where I'm going to end on the word confidence, okay? If you don't develop more confidence after today's session or group or whatever we're doing here, what are we doing here, kid? No, kidding. Okay, so now here's where the 3 stays 3 5 times, and the 3 goes to 4 or more only 2 times. That's a disparity, but it's not as good as those other ones, right? So you're not trying to play, to your point, Joe, you're not trying to play every hand. You're trying to find the biggest disparities, okay? The biggest bias you can find. Now, let's look at the player side. Here, the 2s went to 5. That's good, okay? Where were the 2s that stayed 2 on the player side? That one and that one. So you might have won 1 or 2 of these bets right here, because you'd be going back and forth. So you might let win, lose one.
Question.
Yes?
You only get this insight after the end of the shoe when all the information is available to you. How do you get this information and say, maybe number 10?
Because you're playing, Uday, you're playing the shoe like this.
Yeah.
I didn't know when I played this shoe, I didn't know what was going to happen.
You make the mark stand below it.
You make, like when this unconfirmed 1 becomes a confirmed 1 or stays 1, you make a mark. One stays, or what, in this case, 1 went to 2. That's the first little red mark there. Okay? Then when the 2 went to a 3, 2 goes 3. Mark. So you do that. Remember, you're doing it for the banker and for the player. I like to do the totals also, because that helps me realize the relative strength of the shoe.
Well, it just shows that this isn't the end of the shoe. You might have hands gone.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing too, Kevin, is, the 87, I think it always works best with 1s and 2s, because you're always gonna, 1s are the most common event. You're gonna have more information, and you're gonna find the most disparity between 1s and 2s. And it validates it more, because you can see it, because you're not gonna have as many 3s and 4s to compare. You're gonna have 1s and 2s. It's
Well,
great to play
but
1s and 2s.
sometimes, like, look at this shoe here. In this particular shoe, I would say not so.
Not so, but
Because
most times.
there's 9 to 3.
Right.
That's a pretty good disparity. It really is. Okay? And we had, I didn't play the 4s. I didn't play them going to 5. I might have, in this shoe, I probably would have played after it went to 4.
That'd be better.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly,
That's
or
gotta be
something.
bet.
Yeah. It's more of a guess. It's more of a okay bet. Okay? Yes.
If you bet every unconfirmed one is gonna go opposite, you have 18 wins and 14 losses.
But here's the thing, and I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, okay? Here's the thing, Tom. Out of those 32 bets, theoretical bets, okay? What am I doing here? What percentage of bets did I tell you I make?
60.
Yeah. Right. I'm not going to be making every one of those bets. You see what I mean? I might get out here. I'm going to pretend I'm out here in the shoe. And I might say, you know what? I'm up 8 units. I'm up 6 units. Whatever. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it was Leonard's point or whatever, or Keith or what. What's wrong with 6 units?
Nothing.
Remember, I'm playing a little higher value units.
I'm happy with 4.
Yeah, happy with 4. Hey, you know what? Somebody said on the forum the other day, he started just being happy with 1. And now he's getting to the point where he's going to be happy with 2. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, because I wouldn't know what all this stuff was going to be, But you have to have the confidence that, I'd say it this way. I've seen this before. I've seen this shoe before. I've seen this kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think this is a good fit for V87. But to Uday's point, you make the marks as things occur. You know what I mean? So like when this, I'm pointing to a blue 1, okay? It's unconfirmed until it stays 1. So once 1 stays 1 on the player side, it gets a mark right in there. Okay? And again, the reason for the total, which is just these 2, not broken down, that's just adding the numbers up, is that it shows you that on for instance, the 2s, what was there, 12 in total? 2 goes to 2? Yeah. Or 2 goes to 3, I apologize. There was 12 of them. There was only 2 times that it stayed 2. Is that right? Am I reading this right? Because I'm reading like this. Okay. Well, 12 to 2, I guarantee you I'm going to win some of them. I guarantee it. I don't know how many. I don't know, whatever, But I guarantee you that if you just, simple concept, when I sit down with people, I've sat down with many of you over time. I've sat with you, and we've discussed things. And to your point, Tom went to the Bahamas with us for IBS 2. When I sit down with people, yeah,
I mean, there's a disparity even at the beginning of the shoe.
it's a bias.
Yeah,
It's just a bias.
It's an easy shoe.
It's an easy shoe. So let's talk about that. And we're going to finish up with better and best. Let's talk about that. Okay, how many players are there in a Baccarat shoe? How many players are there in a shoe? Matt?
31?
No, players. No, I don't mean player and banker. I mean, how many participants?
Could be 1, could be 5.
Okay. Anybody else? Mookie?
Nowadays about 4.
Okay, and they're changing back to the 7 or whatever, you know? Okay. Al?
How many players in a?
How many participants are playing a shoe?
Oh, 4.
4, okay. Joey?
Nowadays, it's usually about 4.
Okay, okay. Edwin?
Four to five.
Okay. I maintain there's only one player in every single shoe. It's you. You don't care about what these other people are doing, or you shouldn't. The dealer, unlike blackjack, the dealer has the best odds of winning because they're the last player. They get all the other people have crashed and burned, and whether they crash and burn or not, they still win, they take everybody's money. Baccarat's the best game there is, table game, is because you only have to beat you. You only have to beat you. You don't have to beat the dealer. The dealer's just handing out the money, taking your card, or taking your money, dealing the cards. You have to have that mindset. Okay? Here's my mindset when I play, using this. My mindset, or just going to stadium, which we'll talk about in a little bit. My mindset is like this. Now, I don't sit at the table like that. Okay? But, you've seen me sometime, but not generally. Not generally. But what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm doing is, I don't care what Susie and Jane and Michael over here do, or what Fred and Amy and Tim, are playing. I don't care how much they bet. I don't care if they bet on a different side than me. I don't care if they go all in and I'm sitting on my hands. I don't care. Okay? I believe you have to have that mindset. You have to have the mindset that you're the only player at the table that matters, because you are. It's your money. If you worry about what other people are doing, how many times have you gone to a casino and you're sitting there and there's 3 people over here, 3 people over here, and you're in the middle. Say you're in the middle. I don't care if you're on the end and there's 6 here. I don't care. What do most of the players do when they decide to make bets? What are they doing?
Look what everybody else bet.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody's kind of like, doing this. I'm mentally doing this. And I'm looking at my statistics. I'm looking at whether it's 5D, V87, whatever. I'm marking it down, okay? I got my, in case I get off course, right? Well, that's what I do. You have to, though, have an attitude that you are the only player. So, you failed that question. I'm just kidding you like that. Okay. Keith talked about this morning about having 72. He was going to pretend and come into the room and have a 72-player hand. No banks. Okay? You remember that this morning? They remembered you, Keith. Okay? How many combinations of sequential player banker do you think there are? If you could play for the rest of the rest of eternity, how many possibilities exist of sequentially player banker? 5 banks, 3 players, 3 banks, 8 players, whatever. It's about 4 million, supposedly. I don't know how, you might be able to, I don't know how to get, but it's about 4 million. Are you ever, Leonard, in your life, are you going to play 50,000 shoes even?
Probably not, too old now.
Okay, too old. Whatever. But you're not going to play. Again, you're not playing for the long run. You're playing what you're up against. Okay? And if it doesn't work, I'm going to use these numbers. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? When I say a third, a third, a third.
Parts of the shoe?
What?
Different parts of the shoe?
We'll get to that. Shoe change. Anybody? Okay, I'll make it easy. About a third of the shoes that you will play, okay, will be what I call gift shoes. Shoes where you win in a higher number of units than normal, okay? And that's because you know how to play those shoes, you know what I mean? They play into your way of playing, okay? I don't care what they look like, okay. About a third of the shoes you will encounter in your Baccarat life, about a third of them, okay, are going to be, they're going to be a little tough for you. They're not going to be impossible, but you are going to have to do this. You're going to have to be looking at your stats. You're going to have to be thinking, looking in the back of your playbook, however you want to keep it. And you can get through some of those shoes. Or you hit a low stop loss and you say, I'm not going to do it. Okay. About a third of the shoes, you're not going to beat. I don't care what you do. We were in the Bahamas, and I was playing with Greg and Tom. And we sat down at a table. It was in the quote-unquote high limits room. Lost a bet, sat there. I lost another one, sat there. Lost a third one. Now, I'm not talking a bet. I'm talking over, maybe half of a shoe. I got to the 8th bet, lost it, and what did I do? I got pissed. I said, I can't win this shoe. I should have realized it earlier. I went over to the other, there was a shoe outside of the high limits room. I went over there, got all the money back, okay? Came back into the high limits room. Tom and I were there when when we had the flight back in the morning, if you recall, okay? And we get to the end of the night, we're the only 2 people playing, okay? There's a blackjack table over here. There's like a roulette table back there. There's 2 blackjack tables. There's a total of only about 6 tables. Okay, in this particular casino. We get to 1 o'clock. And I said, you know what, I think we got to go. Our flight's at like 9 a.m. or whatever. And, it was a long flight back from the Bahamas because I had to go through Miami, What did I do? What happened before we left? Do you remember? Okay, well, the crowd of floor managers, pit boss, and 4 dealers had gathered around, and I've got what, my
Scorecard.
playbook, and what did they ask me?
You wanted to know what you were writing down.
They're just all there going, what are you doing? What are you writing down? And what did I do?
Explain the whole thing.
I think I did. I spent a half hour at 1 o'clock in the morning with about 8 people standing around, and I went up to the tote board. You know what a regular tote board looks like? It looks the same in the Bahamas. And I didn't have a pointer, but I'll do it. I said, okay, this up here is what they call the bead plate. Okay? So in my scribbling, I said, that's kind of the bead plate right there. So listen to the story. This is a true story. And then I said, all this top line right here it's the tote board. It's just the tote board. I like to write it down because I don't like to have to squint when I look at the red and blue colors long enough. I start getting fuzzy-eyed. Anyways, I proceeded to explain 5D to them. Now, there's a funny part to this story. So I do that, and they're all standing there going, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, what? What do we do after about a half hour? After about a half hour of that, we got up and left.
Yeah.
Okay? And then what do? We're in the hallway. We started laughing. And I said, I bet they did not understand a single word of what I was saying. And they all speak the King's English in the Bahamas. But I bet they did not understand anything I was saying. And I wasn't doing it to be mean to them or anything. I was doing it to show them I'm not really doing anything other than what's in the, I'm not playing the derived roads. I'm not doing, I'm just, there are simple things you have to know about Baccarat in order to be a winner, okay? And that's all 5D is. It's my way. It's just, I don't care whether you guys do it or not, okay? It's up to you. It's my way of using the math and the statistics of the game, finding the bias, picking the best one, making the bets as accordingly.